understanding the delusion in our life. And this delusion, sometimes there are very lovely delusions, that help, that perhaps, we ignore. I was watching a reality show that happens in India. So this young guy who said, I love this girl so much, and that is why I joined the reality show, to prove that how much I love her. For the society, it appears so exciting. Look at this guy, look at the poor guy who loves so much. So we have a sympathy for them. But that sympathy creates another level of delusion. Delusion simply means what I see is not true, or the way I see is not true. And that is why we have started this Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj, Moodh Mate, San Prapte Sannahite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrunna Karne. He said, how long I have to live in this delusion? Delusion with an object, with a person, in our relationship. So there are many factors associated with the delusion in our mind that needs to be corrected. How it should be corrected? By understanding. But understanding should help us realize, to be realized in the mind. And that is why we discussed last session. What we discussed in the last session, the vision of life is bring an end to the suffering, one, an awakening to peace and happiness, permanent peace and happiness, and second is the way of life. If the way of life does not change according to the vision of life, nothing is going to happen. So that guy was selected, there is a music competition and he was selected. And then the judges said, now is the time to tell that girl, declare it open, I still love you so much. You see, another level of delusion. I don't know whether you are, I believe you are all getting it. The moment I think that the love, peace and happiness are within me, and I have to be a contributor, not to be a consumer of that love, peace and happiness, your mind calms down. You realize where lies the delusion. And that delusion starts from an I thought in the intellect. So normally in modern psychology we have a different explanations of ego, but it's purely technical in Eastern wisdom. That very I thought that limits me, that starts craving for something to be in peace, we say that is our ego. We don't compare it with the modern psychology. Ego, I'm egoistic, no. So in modern psychology, be humble. So we looked at the behavior point of view. We look at, how you behave, that personifies the ego, and opposite of that is non-ego. No, we say I thought in the mind. How it perceives the world, how it attaches to the world. That ego limits me. So it goes away First we have to understand this, how this I thought perceives in the person what is not true. So that I thought dilutes itself. And when it dilutes itself, delusion, or I have given an example of this, mirage water. So that is what this master says, Bhaj Govindam. You have to return to your senses, you have to return to your awareness. That is the meaning of living in a moment. That is the meaning of the living in a moment. Oh, let me return. That is what I translated. Remember, recall, relive, Govinda. Govinda, the real self. At the same time, the master clarifies that the intellectual knowledge is not going to save us from the suffering. It has to be realized. That is what I said, vision of the life and the way of life. Vision of the life is clear that the peace and happiness lies in me. Finished. It is within me. So how I have to relate with others? I have to express that peace and happiness to the others in that particular situation, in the event, in our relationship. But why? Why? Because the real self is full of permanent peace and happiness, love and wisdom. There is no other way to live the life but to express this peace and happiness in any given situation, in any relationship. And I'm going to discuss in detail, because I'm going to come. Those verses are coming which will answer clearly the Jerry's sharing her experiences, and also Christina. We have the grand vision of the life all the time, but we have the poorest lifestyle. I have a grand vision, I should live in permanent peace and happiness. And what is the poorest lifestyle? I expected from you, you did not give me. And the delusion will bring you down. You fall into unconsciousness. You start with an habitual, impulsive, instinctive lifestyle. Day before yesterday, this young guy he said that he lived in some other state with her girlfriend for 2 years. Then they are separated. He still calls her. They have a good business, wonderful business, as he told me. So I said, what is the goal of your life? Now, I want peace, love and happiness with her. That's okay. At this young age of hardly 22 and 23, he does not have any goal about his professionalism. So his parents has a lot of money, so there is no problem. So that causes another delusion. At the young age, I have forgotten completely. I'm totally obsessed with that sense of attachment. Think. We have to sit down and think and contemplate. The first verse, I have told you, at the point, there is an appointed time for the death. So the master is warning us that how long we continue to think in a way that causes the delusion in my life. I have to change my lifestyle, the way I think and speak and act in relationship to the world outside. And what is that delusion? I have told you. We lack a good sense. I like a good judgment. In Eastern wisdom, we say just check what is real and what is false. The real remains independent, false depends on the real self. Anything that false depends on the real self. Real does not depend on the false. Say for example, I became upset with you. So that upset depends on my delusion inside. You did not call me to get upset. You did not send me the SMS message that, whenever I meet you and you should get upset over me. Are you getting it? I believe so. So foolishness, that is one word in English we say. Foolishness leads to the delusion. A foolish person lacks a good sense, acts unwisely, without thinking through the decision. Another point that is very important here. One master says that whenever you are suffering, it is because of your non-thinking. Or thinking wrongly. We always think. No, I love you so much. I fall in love. I don't rise in love. So this is what the master is talking about. Let us go to the second. Moor jahihi dhanagam trishna kurusad buddhim manasi. Let me translate into simple English. When the mind is occupied seeking peace and happiness outside in the world, any issue, you wake up in the morning and the mind is occupied that the peace and happiness is outside. It is because of the delusion. It may be because of some object, some people, some event outside. I married, okay, finished. Then I divorced and I have started thinking again that the peace and happiness lies in a future relationship. I am not learning from my past experiences, so that impulsive nature continues. That is what I say. Days after days, weeks after weeks, we have been doing the same thing and expecting a different result, which is not at all possible. I'm expecting a different result, so I have not changed my lifestyle. When I do not change my lifestyle, I do not live in a higher awareness, because they return again and again. Those thought returns again, and all those thoughts, you have an I-ness attached to it. You look at this person who cheated me. Look at this person I loved so much. He left me or she left me. Oh, you have lot of money, that's why you are living in peace. You see, all those thoughts contains an element of the delusion. It's a very subtler level. The master says, if I simple translation, that I am looking, the moment the mind is looking for peace and happiness outside, it is because of that I thought. That is what we say technically as a ego. So that I thought is limited in its nature. And that limitedness causes the insecurity, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness. Because that I thought is already limited. I have to get rid of this I thought. So what matters important that what is happening inside my mind. is more important than my expectations from the world outside. And what supports? The past memories. Past memories supports us. And these past memories goes on repeating itself. We have a sense of obsession. Just think, sit down every day at least for a few minutes and see what happened today, what made me upset. And you will see, first it is the I thought, second is the expectation from the world outside. That world consists of the people, object, type, place, relationship, and that causes the worries. So I'm frustrated with one event and one person. I'm seeking another person. And I continue to do that. So Master is saying that seeking peace and happiness outside deludes me. Why it deludes me? Because anything outside gives me a pleasure. It's a short-lived pleasure. Or you can say it is a short-lived happiness. Why it is a short-lived? As long as I'm in contact with that person, that object, that food which I enjoy, that gives me a temporary pleasure. You cannot say, no, I have eaten pasta yesterday and I still enjoy it. I bought a car last year and I'm still enjoying it. I bought a dress from, it costed me $500 and still I'm enjoying it. Unless, as long as that object remains in contact with our sense organs and the mind enjoys that, mind seeks the pleasure, mind is consumer, you enjoy that. But what happens? As being repeated use of those objects of the world, you lose the charm. Why you lose the charm? Because it was a delusion. So when we really understand through the reflection, now what happens? The mind is not running anywhere. Mind is simply calm. I need not to control the mind. Mind is so natural. Mind is not running anywhere. Master says we need that natural state of steadiness of the mind. Another point that this verse talks about, the moment I have this I thought, so I thought becomes a consumer of the world, and then it reminds you, it recalls all the past memories, good, bad, high, low. And this I thought again tries to adjust. Okay, now I had problem with this guy, so I will have no problem with another guy. How can you be sure? How can you be sure? So that surety comes that, I still want to be a consumer. So we keep on creating another many layers of the delusion. So in the moment of those deluded moment of the thought and feeling, Master is saying what it is saying, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. At least you remember, you recall, you relive that I am the real self, that I am of the nature of the peace and happiness. We forget it. We forget it's a delusion. from one delusion to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth. And that causes the tiredness and fatigue and anxiety and duality in my daily life. Because it makes my mind restless. That is known as the attachment to anything outside. So what is the opposite of this I thought which causes the delusion? Contentment. But if I don't inquire, that contentment does not come. We cannot simply say, oh, let me have a contentment. Gratitude, it will never come. Unless we inquire, we reflect on it, we drop this I thought, it will never come. Simplicity, it will never come. Peace of mind, it will never happen. I have to contemplate and reflect. Oh, there is a contentment, but internally the mind is constantly haunting me. So that is why Master says, remember, what do you remember? Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Murhamate, Sannihite Kale, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. So the first verse reminds me that at any time I have a fixed time for the death. For me, death is uncertain, but for the existence it is clear. How, where, and when. So if it is really fixed by the existence, and existence has given me this life, so why should I be deluded? That is my choice, whether I can live in delusion or I can live in dispassion. That is my choice, here and now. For example, you have dropped the I thought. You have dropped all the thoughts associated with the delusion. Last point that you need to contemplate and reflect on this. But how to drop this? The I thought comes up again. So that is why we say here is the Govinda. You can have an image of Govinda as a god. Again, what is God? Or we normally say demigod. So what is the difference between the two individuals? One you refer as a god and one you refer as I am. Simple way. Our mind, our master says, this God image always lives in knowledge. It does not have any level of ignorance. So it does not have a delusion. And we are deluded. That is how we merge this I thought with an image of the God. Are you getting it? Just see in another way. We need a support system. I thought is a support system of delusion, duality, conflict. A child needs a support system. Child needs a mother to be supported. A student needs a support system of a teacher. A patient needs a support of a doctor. My deluded mind needs a support of that image or that persona where the peace and happiness is there. So whether you have to see the image, you don't see the image, you simply see, okay, Bhaj Govindam simply means, oh, I want to be into that knowledge and the wisdom all the time. I want to live into that constant awareness of the peace and happiness. I don't know, it is not very subtle, it's not very difficult, but definitely it is a very subtle. So this I thought to be destroyed need a support system. For me, my support system is my master. Every time there are some challenges outside, it starts affecting the mind. I say, Master, you have to take care. Right? I see him as an epitome of the knowledge, beyond the delusion, full of knowledge and peace. Why? We use this tool to get rid of the delusion. And once it is done, finished. Otherwise, this delusion is continue to haunt us. We will definitely get upset, and then we will say, you know, I have been doing this practice for so many years and nothing is happening. Let us start. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. From the very beginning, let us look at eyes are closed. You are comfortable. This is also, my friends, this is also, we are looking at the body and the sense organs. So from one delusion to the another level of knowledge and wisdom we are moving. Why we close the eyes? You see, it is a symbolic. What is symbolic? That the real self cannot be found outside. One thing, I thought or this ego gets its working only when it moves out. It has no way that it has to work inside. As you move your mind inside, the I thought or ego starts dissolving. That is a natural way. So I need not to worry about it. I have to consciously move. And that is the meaning of being comfortable. You are comfortable. So I used to say how you become comfortable. Again, you see. So you look at the neck joint, be there, feel the sensation, comfort and steadiness. What I did, I avoided the I thought to do some activity. I simply said, be aware. Look. Looking at someone does not create an ego. Looking means I'm aware. It is a point of non-practice. So if you don't follow this point of non-practice and you have been doing the practice for years together, it will not bring any change. We're going into subtle areas of our journey. Goal is awakening and end of suffering once and for all. So now awareness of the entire body, sensation, comfort and steadiness. And being carefree. Why we use the word carefree? So I have been saying you be aware of these thoughts, unwanted, unwelcome thoughts are coming and going. They are not in fact unwanted thoughts. It is already associated with an I thought. If they are unwanted thoughts, universally applicable, then you should also have the same kind of thoughts which I have. But everyone has a different kind of thought. It is associated with the past impressions. my craving, my delusion. That is why I receive those thoughts. And I don't become aware and I say, this is the way I live, this is my way. That is why I use the word being carefree. But we have been in Mondays and Thursdays meditation. So once those being comfortable and being carefree is very clear to you, anytime and anywhere, then this mantra will definitely work. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. May there be happiness for all. Now you see, the very idea of happiness for everyone at all the time, in all the locations, destroys that I thought. That awareness should prevail doing the mantra. And that naturally brings the sense of contentment. If it is not bringing, then what happens? The goal of the life is too far from the way of life. I believe you are getting it. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. I thought is getting a support system from unwanted thought, and now the same I thought is getting a support system from may there be peace for all. What we are doing, we are not only purifying the mind. Will it happen in a day? No. If we are consistent doing the regular practice, it is bound to happen. It has happened to everyone. We are not conditioning. We are just removing that delusion. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Let there be a completeness in all. Can you say that this is a prayer? Yes, it is a prayer. We already discussed that what exactly is the prayer. Completeness in all, wholeness in all. Real self is complete in itself, but the I thought with the mind says I am incomplete, and that is why I am searching peace and happiness outside. My search of peace and happiness outside only because of sense of incompleteness in me. And as long as there is an I thought, there will definitely be a sense of incompleteness. That sense of incompleteness results into many varieties of insecurities, unhappiness, and dissatisfaction in our life. It prevents the higher consciousness to manifest. You see the purity of the mind? Again I told you. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. That is why I am keeping this mantra, so that you can go deeper into it. Oh, yes, there should be an auspicious. Existence is always auspicious. My interpretation of the situation outside and relating to me. How? Because of the delusion, because of the I thought. No situation chases you, no event chases you. I thought, chase. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Then we move into another extraordinary awareness. You are looking deep inside the forehead in the space, first point of awareness. You keep the body in the state of the steadiness, second point of awareness. While looking inside the forehead, you are dropping Om Shanti with a pause. Om Shanti, recognizing. And then in that state, you are doing the breathing. Do you see that that is the way of purification of the mind? So start breathing, quick, short, in the gentle breath through the nostrils into the rib cage. Just continue, my friends. You are doing the you see, it's a reflective. First you reflected, and then you are doing the breathing, and you maintain that awareness. The mind is moving inside every time Om Shanti is said, and the breathing continues. That prevents the mind to go out. That stage has to be set in the mind to have a speedier progress. Continue. So you also recognize resistance. You also recognize the change in your experiences. See that? And you endure if the mind says no. Mind wants to go out into the same level of delusion. Continue breathing. It's a rhythmic breathing. You are aware of the resistance or the change in your experiences and the endurance. continue resistance, accepting the changes, and meet the resistance with endurance. That is what, I have been and stop it. First, you recognize the resistance. You also recognize that you applied the endurance, the changes that is taking place, but go back to the breath at the tip of the nose. Become aware of why we just want to make the mind subtle. Become aware of the breath that is going in and out through both the nostrils. And if the flow of the breath from one nostril is less, pay attention there and see that the flow of both the nostrils returns to uniformity, homogeneous awareness from both the nostrils. Endurance plays an important role. So endurance is one part of the journey by which we rise in awareness. And that endurance has been explained in the Western world as a Stoic philosophy. Stoicism, if I am spelling correctly. It is much more than that. We are enduring as long as the delusion is present. When the delusion is gone, the endurance, we don't need that endurance. Now looking deep inside the forehead again, Om Shanti, and start breathing. Start breathing from the belly. So this time it's a longer breath. Longer breath into the belly, expansion and contraction. Sometime I miss, but I know you remember expansion and contraction of the belly in the second type of the breathing, not the chest. Even the chest movement is there a little bit. So you're still aware inside, recognition, cognitive ability, accepting the changes that is taking place, any resistance. You are enduring that resistance by continuing the breathing, continuing the Om Shanti deep inside your forehead, continuing keeping the body steady. So all those elements works. It's a longer breath. Om Shanti continues. You also find the instant changes, maybe a sensation, vision, colors, body. You feel the body becomes very big or small. What normally we say out of the body experience. We'll talk about that. Continue. Continue. Let a longer breath into the belly. There is another way to understand, that's why I say pointed awareness of Om Shanti inside the forehead. Body is still, except the belly movement. And stop it. So again, we move into a level of awareness by which we recognize the changes, we accept the changes. We also understood that you have endured. There was an endurance during the practice. The mind was objecting to it and you succeeded in it. And looking at the breath, the flow of the breath, that seems very simple, but it demands a very subtle awareness. The flow of the nostrils from both, if it is not equal, you pay attention which has a less flow. And if you continue, you will recognize that homogeneous flow from both the nostrils goes very deep into the spine, and we will understand why later. First we will experience that. And now the third type of the breathing, looking deep inside the forehead, and Om Shanti, you are dropping. You're not repeating mechanically. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, and then start breathing deep and longer breath from the belly and the rib cage, expansion and the contraction of the belly and the rib cage. You will discover that both the nostrils become totally open, and it becomes very easy for the expulsion of the breath through both the nostrils. It is free flow. Again, we are moving into the same homogeneous flow of the breath. Continue doing it. Continue. Longer, deeper breath, expansion and contraction of the belly and the rib cage during inhalation and exhalation. When both the nostrils have a free flow and you are doing this third breathing, it has unusual experiences in your head. You have to reach there. And stop this resistance, recognition, accepting the changes. You have already experienced the endurance. And then looking at the flow of the breath, which has a less flow, you pay attention there. And if both are equal, continue to pay attention on the flow of the nostril. You know, we are having a cognitive ability that we understand that endurance in this step is required to help the mind to go deeper. So you are consciously understanding. So what happens? You are doing in front of me, and when you are doing the practice regularly on your own, and someday your mind is crazy and you know the power of endurance and recognition, and you get out of that delusion instantly. Not only by this step, but each step can help you. Just check even the flow of the breath and its awareness can also help us to be in the state of self-absorption. We may not need the step of a triangle. Then we can transition into the next higher step in the journey. Just you're looking casually, and at the same time you find a kind of self-absorption, the same experience that you get by the step of a triangle. Now, looking Om Shanti on the 16 segments of a triangle. We are skipping the triangle one today. Om Shanti. Mentally you're dropping. Again, it's a cognitive awareness, if I say that. It's a cognition. Just in a spur of a moment, Om Shanti, first segment, mind's eye, mind's touch, mind's ear, all they work together. So we normally see that if you have deepening of the sensations on these segments of the fingers, means what? You can now channelize the prana. the energy. And when you can channelize this energy, we can redirect this energy anywhere at our will. But at the same time, it helps us to go deeper. Hum Shanti, Hum Shanti, Hum Shanti. And there is no resistance at all. Even the thoughts are too far away and you are dropping the Om Shanti. And sometimes the thoughts are not there. So in both the cases, both the possibilities are there and you recognize them. At every step, you understand what you are doing and what is the result. It's very important in any meditation. To avoid any kind of hallucination and imagination. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences, and if you have any question, you can say, how are you, David and Jay?
Well, thank you. A great, as always, great lesson, great message. Starting the fast breathing, I'd never noticed an imbalance in the breath through my nose, and I did, and I just focused on Om Shanti, and at some point it went away. And by the third breathing exercise, vast indigo colors surrounded by bright white lights.
Oh, good.
And then after that, it was doing the job of it. It was just really peaceful.
Beautiful, beautiful. You are doing the practice with clear understanding. And today, the first breathing, we did it for 6 minutes.
It went fast too, by the way.
It was. That is it is because of the mind. The mind perceives, oh, it's going usual. Second breathing, we did it for 4 minutes, and third one, we did it for 3 minutes. So sometimes surprise element works. And that's really good. Wonderful, David. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good, thank you. The meditation was really smooth, no resistance, fluidity. I found that word was resonating with the mind a bit, because just through our days, if they're fluid, and those are the days that there's no suffering. It's simple, it's fluid. We're aware, we're accepting. And the days where there's suffering and it's resistance and complicated, then it equals the delusion. So we can look at it pretty simply.
You are pointing a very good. Every day, every moment, we are moving into that state of simplicity, free from the delusion, a state of the calmness and peace I maintain. And the outside world, the situation, events are constantly changing. That is not dictating me. So that means that there is an absence of delusion. We should reach to that state. That is the real meaning of living in a moment. You simply say living in a moment. That doesn't work. How are you, Dennis?
I'm fine, thank you. In the beginning of meditation, there were a couple of points of resistance, but these were endured, and the rest of the meditation was smooth and deep. And I think the absence of the triangle didn't make much of an effect. The mind was during this time when we usually do the triangle, the mind was today thoughtless as after the triangle, and pretty much absorbed inside.
Beautiful. You know that not only for Dennis but for everyone, we have to leave each and every step. Let the time come, including the teacher. You have to leave everything. Why? Because you are already into that state of awareness that is continuous. That is the meaning of living in a moment. That is beautiful way. And you rightly said that, you drop a step, it doesn't affect your state of the mind. It doesn't affect the practice. So normally what happens, we get attached to these steps. But these steps are milestones in a journey. They are not the end. That needs to be clearly understood. How are you, Brandy?
I'm good, thanks. I find the idea of the support system to be really useful, coupled with something you said during the meditation about like when the delusion comes up, being able to address it right away. Yes. And I notice that more and more, like if I'm at work or a concert or at the grocery store, wherever something comes up, I just can see it. So I think it's working.
Yes. You got it. That is why I picked up. Mind always needs a support system in the beginning. And when there is a total transformation of the mind does not need any support system. There may need a support system of the God, may need a support system of the teacher, a principle, an idea, all those things. So pay attention to that area also. Some people get absorbed into it. Some people do not talk about it, and you rightly talked about it. How are you, Christina?
Thank you. Interesting that the first breathing was longer, because for the first time I experienced almost, usually Om Shanti goes quickly with the inhale, exhale, and it was at its own pace, much slower, free from the patterned breath.
Free from the pattern. Yeah. So what happens, the time will come, you are doing the breathing even for 6 minutes or 10 minutes, and the mind is able to endure it. Why it is able to endure it? Because there is no delusion in it. So what happens when there is no delusion in it? Then you have different vision in the colors, like David was saying, the indigo color. So that level of delusion is not there. So what is that state where the mind goes very deep inside and absorbed? Why the mind has to go deep inside? Because there is no I thought. Why the I thought should not be there? Because we get rid of the delusion. Why we want to get rid of the delusion? Because we want an awakening. Briefly, I'm just explaining, we will talk about those things. How are you, Barbara?
I'm very good, thank you. The breathing again today seemed very effortless for me, and I was shocked when you said the length that the amount of time that we were doing the breathing exercise, because it seemed to go very, very fast.
Good.
And I too saw a lot of blue light.
Yeah.
But isn't the blue light a form of a hallucination?
Yes, in the beginning. But we check that because of this blueness has come because the mind has gone deeper inside. It does not find any thought to think upon it. So at a deeper level it converts into variety of colors and the visions. So we just accept them, we let them come, we let them go. Yeah, you're right. So at a very subtler and a higher level, definitely what you said is right. But in today's journey, we say it is good. It is a toy to the kid. Oh, this is an airplane. Let us have this plane. This is an aeroplane. We never say that this is a toy. But then nothing except the pure consciousness remains. But if I don't give the support system, it will backfire. So, how are you, Terry?
It helped me achieve some relief from the body, and I like the idea that the God is the knowledge, and the God is in me. That's helpful. I did have resistance, but it was evenly balanced between resistance and success.
Yeah. It comes because of the endurance and resistance, and cognition continues. We will also understand that is the beauty of the Eastern wisdom. They have explored each and everything. You use the God as a support system, but never forget that God in you is always full of knowledge. It is devoid of ignorance and delusion. So what happens? So when you are in delusion, it is you. When you are in peace and happiness, then it is God. So what happens? We use that support system to reach to that higher state of the consciousness. We'll talk about it. We are moving there. How are you, Samir?
Sir, meditation was very deep, and till the end of the meditation, it was Om Shanti all over.
Good.
In my hand, my face, in my stomach, all over my, everywhere it was Om Shanti.
Beautiful.
Very clear, very loud, and I was able to see also that I can say it.
Very beautiful. I used to give the practices where I used to ask the student to drop Om Shanti to the different parts of the major parts of the body, then the subtle parts of the body, then into every cell. But that also practice comes from the Eastern wisdom. So sometimes what happens, you are doing one practice, but you have a revelation of the other. And that is how it was written, and it was revealed by all these teachers. So that's a beautiful. How are you, Sangeeta?
सर बहुत अच्छा था, बहुत पीसफुल था। सर इनफैक्ट ये जो है वो सिर्फ ओम रह जाता लास्ट में, मतलब
Yes. What she is saying that after at a later stage only Om was left. So it is okay. It is also a part of yoga, provided that we are self-absorbed. Total absorption is there. What does it mean by an absorption? That I thought is not there. We have to get rid of this. Just think for a while. Today you think. If there is no thought of a stress, how can you have a stress? How can you define the stress? The moment you say I have a heaviness in the head, you have already defined it. You don't explain the heaviness in my head, you are explaining heaviness in your head. So indirectly it is I thought. Are you getting it? Now we'll get there. So that I thought is so deeply conditioned in our mind, and that is what the ego. How are you, show? Namaste, sir.
Sir, I am good and fine, and meditation was very good. And जैसे जब ध्यान के दिए को जलाए रखने के लिए सपोर्टिंग सिस्टम की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है ना, so I understood like this one.
Beautiful. What he is saying that to lit a candle and keep the flame intact, we need some support system. The wax is there. So he is using that simile, that metaphor. So obviously we need some support system. If you say I thought, I must destroy the I thought, you cannot destroy the I thought. So I thought should be sublimated by a support system. Wonderful. I'm so happy. That is all for today. We will meet again in our next session to take care of another delusion. Namaste.